welcome to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. I'm Ranger John, and today we're here for the rare blooming of this beautiful yellow kahili ginger flower. They're all blooming in this area just now, and the smell is incredible. When you look at these flowers, you can start to see they've got this really unique... Oh, whoops. Actually, no worries. Just kidding, folks. This isn't a rare or unique flower at all. If you look around you, you'll start to notice they're taking over. They're everywhere. This is an example of an invasive species, and this is actually the second worst problem in the park right now. In terms of invasive weeds, this is our second biggest priority. These things are taking over. This isn't native to Hawaii. Invasive species are a serious concern for us here in the park, but they're a problem throughout the world and throughout the country. Invasive species come in all kinds of shapes and sizes. They travel in the sky, across the land, through the water, even underground. In the south, you've probably had problems with kudzu and Japanese honeysuckle. In the northwest United States, the major problems are Scotch broom and blackberry. But the invasive species don't have to be plants. So what's the common thread between all these invasive species? What is an invasive species? Well, I have a definition for you. It comes from the National Invasive Species Information Center. But they call an invasive species an alien species whose introduction does or is likely to cause economic or environmental harm or harm to human health. Okay. Here in Hawaii, some of our biggest concerns are environmental. In the case of this kahili ginger, it was introduced from the Himalaya region of India about 50 years ago, probably in the 1940s. It was introduced intentionally to the park because it's pretty. It's an ornamental flower. And at that time, its impact on our environment here wasn't very understood. But once these kahili ginger sprout in an area, they rapidly reproduce and sort of unroll like a carpet and eliminate all the undergrowth. So we immediately lose a lot of our diversity, and that deteriorates the health of the forest. The problem is, even though they don't kill these larger canopy trees right away, these trees are growing older and older and older, and no new generation is able to sprout out of this ginger to replace them. So that's a kind of unstable picture ecologically. Eventually, as the canopy dies back, we'll be left with a continuous field of ginger. No birds, no diversity, and none of that uniqueness that Hawaii is so known for. Invasive species can have all sorts of different impacts. In the US, they're responsible for the loss of wetlands. They cause extinctions, which leads to a loss of global biodiversity. They can have serious impacts to our agricultural crops, and they also cause random problems like clogging irrigation lines. Overall, invasive species cause over $100 billion in damage in the US every year. Now remember, kahili ginger is only the second worst problem in the park. It has a serious impact on our forests by destroying the understory of our native ecosystems. But our worst weed in the park is a much larger concern and a much larger plant. It's this guy here, Morella faya tree. And these trees spread like wildfire. Get it? But in all seriousness, this is the biggest problem in the park right now. These trees were introduced from the Canary Islands and the Azores by the Portuguese in the early 1800s. They used it probably for making wine, maybe for firewood, and like kahili ginger, it was a nice, fast-growing ornamental. But by 1937, it was obvious it was an invader. Today in the park, these trees grow almost throughout the park, and they can eliminate the entire forest from top to bottom. These trees are nitrogen fixers, so they have a direct effect on the chemistry of the soil, and they disrupt the whole process of succession that naturally takes place in these forests. So Morella faya is definitely the worst problem in the park. We've found some ways to control it. If you don't believe me what a serious problem it is, we'll have to give you another look of just how invasive this plant can be. From this angle high above Kilauea caldera, you can start to see the extent of the Morella faya invasion. When you look into the canopy beneath us, you'll see the dark, dull green trees are our native Ohia lehua trees, found only in Hawaii. The brighter green is Morella faya. So you can see from here that this area is made up of more than 50% faya. It's a serious problem. There's no overstating what a threat this is. In areas where we've left faya to go on its own, it eventually creates stands of pure faya, 100% faya tree, no other growth of any kind. But I'm not telling you all this to depress you, because it is possible for us to turn this situation around. You'll notice in the background here, there's patches of dead Morella faya. We've developed a few techniques that encourage the growth of native plants over the invaders and help us restore the balance in our forest. We've found that if we leave the trees in place to deteriorate gradually over time, the canopy opens slower, and that'll favor the growth of native ferns instead of ginger and other invasive grasses and things like that. So it is possible to restore order in our forest. It's not simply that the native forest is weak and the invaders are strong. The invaders are out of place. They have an unfair advantage. But in the long run, our native forests will survive better in these islands than the invaders will. They're adapted to life here. The invaders are just taking over, and they might not create a situation that even allows them to survive. So it is possible for us to turn around the invasion. So, we've learned that invasive species are the greatest threat to the native life of Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, and they're a growing concern throughout the country. But we do have the opportunity to turn these invasions around. Remember, invasive species are not invasive in their homeland. In the areas where they grew up, they're just another natural component of the forest. It's only when we take them out of their native habitat, bring them to Hawaii and other places where there's nothing available to control them, that they become invasive pests like ginger and faya here. But we do know that the native forests are supremely adapted for life on these volcanoes. And in the long run, they'll probably survive better here than most any of the invaders we're introducing to Hawaii today. So if we help our forest along for a little ways, we do have the potential to recover a lot of what's been lost and restore balance to our ecosystems here. In the meantime, all of us need to be aware of the threat of invasive species and try to stop introducing them to areas where they haven't gotten to so far, and contain the invasion where we can. Here in the park, we're going to go ahead and keep pulling ginger, cutting back the faya trees, and ultimately, hopefully we'll restore order to our forests here inside the park.